The Incredible Hulk #5, a book that a lot of people are enjoying. A lot of people keep telling me it's the one book that they think is the best book going right now at Marvel. It's kind of one of those things that you kind of would like to say, well, maybe something longer going would be the best one, but I think that this might be maybe the best one at the moment. With some books, there's some things coming out that are getting a little bit better, but we didn't have the Marvel podcast for a while because I kept finding a lot of things kind of boring. This week's not bad. You still have, some issues, but me and you talking this for the first time on the podcast, pretty cool. We were wondering if we had talked about it before, but we realized that the last issue came out like that week that we started up again. So we missed it, and a couple people did ask if we were going to be covering this book, and here we are. Here it is, The Incredible Hulk #5, Riddle of the Man-Thing Part 2, Philip Kennedy Johnson, writing, Travel Foreman, guest art. I'm kind of looking forward to Nick Klein getting back because his art was really, really good, but I like the art in this.
I'm trying to figure out if Travel was on the last issue or not.
I think he was, but this one I think is better. I think this one looks a lot better. Maybe kind of eased into it a bit, but he fits that horror tone in this.
There's one scene that was extra horrific that we'll get to, but
and that's something when we get to it. It's the wow moment of the week, and something that I sat there and thought, did we ever see it as horrific as this? I don't think we have. It's crazy, but we'll get to that. That's definitely the talking point. Matthew Wilson on colors, DC's Travis Lanham on letters. And we are in the nexus of all realities. You end up having Man-Thing pull Hulk in, Bruce Banner and Hulk into this to kind of have a little bit of a thinking, talking time. In the meantime, though, Charlie, the girl that's been hanging out and going along with Bruce, is in there as well. And the Nexus in the swamp deal, it ends up having the swamp siren that is trying to dupe both Charlie and Hulk in this whole play that, again, it seems kind of confusing as we jump into this 5th issue to have to explain some things, but there is the big bad, the eldest, behind all this that is controlling, bringing out all the monsters in the Marvel Universe to go and get the Hulk. But we actually see by the end of this issue that there is a deal that could be made. And it's a weird deal, like the idea that the eldest says, and we'll get to it obviously, but just really quickly, you just give me Hulk and then, hey, Bruce, you could be yourself. And that would be something that Bruce has been trying to get since day one, right? Yeah. He wants to get rid of. But do you hand over the Hulk to something that is that bad? So you're going to have that back and forth and that little bit of a twisty turn. Now, there is another twist to it when we get to it. But like we said, the art, very horrific. You end up where, poor Charlie's just getting whipped around and getting pretty much mind screwed this whole time by this swamp siren who actually ends up having like the personification of Charlie's younger brother, Earl, who just shows up. He is dead. Charlie is very sad. Oh my God, I don't want you. And it's so bad by the end of this that she actually gets to see her little brother die again.
It's bad. Yeah.
Even though she knows this isn't real, but you're still seeing it. And it does have some feels. But in my mind, all this would be doing for me, if I'm Bruce Banner / Hulk, is getting pissed off. I mean, at the end you get a deal, but I'd be like, you're just making me more and more mad to just go and destroy you. But as that's going on, as I said, Man-Thing, and even through the whole deal with Ted Salas, who is a Man-Thing, kind of, together, almost showing you that, almost like a Hulk Bruce Banner deal, which I thought was kind of cool, where he's saying, we need your help. The Nexus is in trouble right here, right now. We have to get rid of the siren. Hulk wants no parts of it. He says, why don't you do this? But again, once you start messing around with Charlie and things like that, he does get upset. But you're still going with this idea that the eldest is doing all this. It's going to come for you. We're all in trouble. We need your help. We have to, kind of team up when we can. And Hulk just is like, I've had enough of you. Rips apart Ted. Just like rips him apart. Throws him down. Again, this is in the nexus of realities. It's not quite happening, but
still horrific to see.
Oh, yeah. So you have all this going on, and as you do end up having the Hulk then go to find Charlie, sees what this swamp siren's doing, and ends up just completely attacking. And at this point in the book, I thought, well, this is fine, but it's really just monster of the month, let's fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, I get it. Cool fight. You get some horrific images. And at that point, it is funny because poor Charlie's like, oh my God, Earl, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let you die. And oh my God. And Hulk just runs in and starts ripping things apart, including that little puppet version of Earl. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? But by the end of that, he ends up seeing there's Charlie, and she's upset. And even there where Man-Thing kind of disappears into the water as well. So they're there by themselves then. And really what happened here, it's funny because through that thing, Ted is saying, you got to help us. You got to destroy this creature. He's like, no, I'm not going to help you. You do it yourself. You do it yourself. And then goes off and takes care of it. And it's kind of funny. The Man-Thing's like, all right, you did it now. Off we go. And yeah, Hulk says, leave us alone. Charlie's crying, but Hulk doesn't want to, be the Hulk that Bruce Banner needs to be there. Yeah, he
needs Bruce Banner to talk to her.
Yeah, Bruce Banner needs to be a little more sensitive. So while you had the horrific scene of Charlie crying over the again dead body kind of
monster version,
made up monster version deal of her brother.
Ripped in half.
Yeah, it's just destroyed. And then we get, and this is again, when I'm reading it, I see this, I'm like, we seen it because we see Hulk turn back into Bruce in a way that makes sense. I mean, it's not like the idea that I say, oh, this is all, this doesn't make sense or whatever, because he does transform from skinny Bruce to big Hulk to skinny Bruce. And this makes it in that way that you can tell it must hurt. That's one of the things that I like about this is now we get that idea that turning from Bruce to Hulk, Hulk to Bruce, it's not like easy peasy, just happens. Like you snap your finger and it happens. He starts crunching bones.
Spitting blood. His eyes are bulging out. His teeth.
You just hope that at any point, this isn't the setup to get half Hulk, half Bruce. Because I'm telling you, that is what we get on the bottom part of the page on the left side, where it's just awful. It's like giant muscle frogman with middle that's crunched but still does his leg day. So I do appreciate that. But
we've seen some pretty bad transitions in Immortal Hulk, I remember. They were pretty horrific. That was the first time I think they ever did anything with like the transformation. And then but we've also seen, I think, where like Bruce rips out of like Hulk's body or vice versa kind of thing.
And I'm not a big, I haven't read every Hulk issue, obviously. I'm not a huge Hulk fan.
Well, the old issues just never dealt with. I think Immortal would have been the first time.
Classic would be, there's Hulk fighting, something happens, and then he wakes up as Bruce. You're in the big destruction.
His pants are ripped. That's really all that ever happened.
He's like, man, they're running out of purple pants down at the Walmart. But he's like laying in the thing. Oh, man, what happened? This is terrific. It's
worth
horrific.
It just to see these panels right here.
But again, I like this idea that it shows you that it takes some effort. It takes some out of him. When he comes, he is still at a point where I thought he had transformed all the way. Yeah, all of a sudden now he's Gollum. Then he's like there, and it's like, oh my God, gasping for breath. And then look, so it gives you that play of, man, this takes a lot of effort. Must be a real pain in the butt, right? I wouldn't want to have this happen all the time. And then he ends up where he looks up, and he's doing this again to maybe comfort Charlie. But when he looks up, Betty Ross is there. Mm-hmm. And so with all of this going on, the weird play is you're assuming, and it looked like it, Man-Thing thought it was, that the swamp's dead. Like, how is this another manipulation? Which Charlie thinks it is and ends up trying to attack. But then they nope, this is actually Betty. And it threw me off at first because of the idea, but it makes sense because the eldest has been gathering up and, kind of like inspiring. I don't know how you'd say it, but kind of getting all the monsters to get all fired up and go after Hulk. And then Betty says, as the Red Harpy then, because when Charlie throws it at her, says, no, it's me. Mm-hmm. And I've come to offer you a deal. Like she is actually working with the eldest. I think in the way that Betty here is and the way with Red Harpy, I do think that she's doing this like with Bruce's best intentions, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like she's not there. I don't think this is quite a dupe, but it's, hey, eldest wants Hulk. Bruce says, well, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm fused with Hulk, goes in. No. The eldest, she's like the first of the monsters, and she has powers. She can separate you. She could just get Hulk. You give her the Hulk deal, and then me and you become just
our sexy
Bruce and
selves.
Betty and says sexy selves. We'll be young again. We can be together. It's everything you always wanted. Now, we know these things especially have monkey paws. But really, to me, the monkey paw just is you're trying to go and face or run or whatever from the eldest who is just bad. I mean, just seems really, really bad. You don't really know. Like, it's not like the eldest seems to have a good plan. So you give the Hulk I just think in my mind, if I'm Bruce, who isn't, he's way smarter than me. He's not a dummy. Would think, well, how long is that going to last if I give the Hulk to the eldest? Like, the world's done. Like, what is the plan? And yeah, she says, think of that, because you could get, and it's a neat play. And I like two things in this end deal, because Betty also says the Hulk's taking over. You know this. The Hulk is going to be, Bruce Banner is going to be done. You're going to be taken over, and it's just going to be the Hulk. So, you should do this. But also, again, you get that whole, wish of that's what Bruce always wanted. Not only just the idea of I want to get rid of the Hulk. He's always trying to do his little experiments and try to get rid of it. But also the idea of getting rid of the Hulk, having Betty back as their young, sexy selves. Like, it's a lot. And right after we just see how horrific it is to go back and forth from Hulk, Bruce Banner, I think it does hit in a way that I thought at first kind of like, he's not going to go for that. Almost, just as an aside, almost reminds me a bit of the deal that they think Batman might take over in the Gotham War right now at DC Comics. If you're reading that, like, you end up setting up a premise that Batman would never go for. I don't really think that Bruce would go with this because of what it could mean.
Yeah, I don't think he will.
The Hulk. But you do have that play that if the Hulk is taking over, it could be a last-ditch effort. You could even get a play. I don't think it will happen. But if you did get a play, like, Bruce would be like, listen, I'll do this, but I have a plan of my own to kind of dupe it late, whatever it would be. But it is what he always wished for, just in a weird, wacky way. And then Betty flies off. I love it. Like, if I'm going to be the one setting up this deal, and if Betty really just says, like, and I think that you might get to a play where Betty thinks that Bruce is being selfish. This is what you always wanted, and it also helps me, but you don't care. I think I would have come to Bruce and stayed in my sexy self, right?
Yeah, not the harpy.
I know the play might be, look, you can help me and I won't be this anymore, whatever. But I think I would have stayed sexy self.
Yeah, she can transform to regular Betty, too.
I think I would have been sexy self the whole deal, all right? And it'd be funny, like, at that moment, all of a sudden we see her horrific transformation. It's almost like a human version of a transformer done wrong is what it's doing. Like, stuff's going places it shouldn't be.
I mean, I would think they should show that. That would be cool to see how she transforms.
Just imagine she transforms and he's like, yeah, I can't unsee that. I'm done. Like, bye-bye, Betty.
Deal breaker.
But yeah, she just leaves and says she's offering you a chance to undo all the awful things you've done to us. And then says, take it. And then flies away. Again, flies away, not sexy walk away. Flies away. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
It just feels weird when you have the harpy saying that to you. I think that tends to give it a little more ominous, evil, tone than maybe the sexy Betty self who would say, come on, we could be this and let's go. I think it's a misplay on her part, but whatever. It's still, she wants her deal. That's what she wants. She wants Bruce to do it, but I think that it's pretty obvious that it's something you shouldn't do, but we'll see how it works out. But it does actually, at this point, give the book kind of a new, or at least a good mission statement going forward to something that I ended up liking the first 4 issues. But it was getting to a point where I was like, okay, well, what is this getting at? What are we doing? I thought at the beginning it was a little too immortal. And you still, like you said, you still have a little bit of that tone, obviously. But when you get to this, I think that it sets its own way and gets going. And I hope that it actually, going forward, actually works out even better. And I think it might. So I really liked it. What about you?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I'd probably give this one a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I'm an 8.
Yeah.
I might even be. At one point, I was like 8.5. But then when I read, it's just so quick.
It's too short.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.